The secret to dealing with your inconsistency in your parenting, whether it's inconsistency in discipline, inconsistency in checking their homework, inconsistency in any area, is to accept that this is normal. You know which parents are consistent in a village-less lifestyle? None of them. Fictional parents. That's who. Nobody's consistent without a village. If you live in a village, fine. If you live in an ancient kind of tribal village where you are not the sole caretaker for your kids 24 hours a day, where they are running around with the other kids supervised by the older kids, you have a lot of information flow and camaraderie with the other women. You're talking about raising kids and all that. The whole community, all the women of the tribe go to get the water at the same time. They wash the clothes together at the same time they prep the food. Yeah, it's pretty consistent. The other thing is in a village setting, because there is much more of a family feel, a lot of times other people will discipline your kids. And I mean, a lot of Americans really rebel against that idea, as they should. In our individualistic culture where we don't live in villages, it's wildly inappropriate. But if you live in this very, very small community where you are related to most of the people, you've all lived together your whole lives, everybody knows everybody. You know, if your aunt takes your kid aside and says, "Hey, I heard what you just said. Like, do not do that. That was so inappropriate." You're like, "Oh, thank God." Like, nice. So you've got the village is disciplining your kids. And the village has very clear mores of what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. So there's also an incentive system that your kid will just not be able to thrive and get what they want in life if they go against that. So again, when you live in a traditional village, small community culture, as all of your ancestors did, there ain't no kid announcing that they are a polyamorous atheist. That couldn't happen in that kind of culture because that just wasn't accepted. And I'm not even saying that's a good thing. I think there was a lot of closed-mindedness, xenophobia, just that can lead to bad mindsets. I'm not saying that was always a great thing, but for better or worse, your kids weren't going to pull any of that because the village would reject them for that. So the village had this set of standards and morals that you had to adhere to in order to be a member of the village. So you're just all of that work that we get stressed out about is, are my kids going to continue my values, and are they going to keep to our religion? That was kind of taken care of by your village. By the way, Caitlin, I think I might be doing better in the YouTube algorithm now because I said polyamorous atheist. So they're like, oh, put this one,
bing, bing, bing,
put this on the homepage. Like, this is the content that we are here for. Yes, they're based in California. This is incredible. Like, we love this. So I'll just say that 50 more times. So your village took care of a lot of the discipline and the moral upbringing of your kids. So think about that. All of this energy that you put into making sure your kids have good character, that they are doing what they need to do as part of their family, chores and those sorts of contributions, following the religion, doing the things that are whatever religion you're a part of, that they're doing those things. Literally 80% of that was taken care of by the village in ancestral human times. So the human brain was not designed for you to enforce all of this consistency. This is a nonsense standard that parenting experts hold you guys to. It's beyond dumb to think that somebody without a support system can be perfectly consistent, and they're in the faith formation and the discipline and the character building and checking their homework and making sure their clothes are perfectly clean and the house is ain't no way. It's not gonna happen unless you are a Marvel superhero. Who's the Dr. Time or whatever? Benedict Cumberbatch. What's Benedict? Can you look that up, Caitlin? What is his? He's like a Time Lord.
I should know this.
Unless you're that guy, you don't. I mean, you're not going to be able to. Yeah, in Marvel, Your brain can't. It wasn't designed for it. It wasn't designed. Well, whatever. He was a doctor. It's Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange.
Why did I know that? It's so bad.
Doctor. Unless you have you can bend time and space. Earlier in this episode, I said 8 ball of cocaine, but also what would work is if you can just create one of those glowing balls that connects one universe to another and bends time and gives you like 5 years into one day.
I could have used that this morning.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, you could have been consistent in your parenting, Caitlin. Yeah. So could I. Caitlin and I both. We could have crushed it in our parenting if we could just bend time. Well, let's do it all. If we had staff members and hard drugs and bend time, oh yeah, we'd be super consistent. We'd be amazing. But if you're a regular person who can't bend time, who is not on drugs, and who doesn't have 10 staff members, there is no way that you can be consistent. Your brain wasn't designed to do it without your village. So what you do is you accept the fact that consistency ain't happening. It ain't happening up in here. Not now, not ever. And you optimize on it. That is what all great CEOs do. And you are a CEO. If you are a parent, you are. I mean, think about it. You're the leader of your children. They think of you as being a leader. So you're a leader, whether you want to be or not, you are. And that is what all great leaders do. They accept the limitations that they are facing. If you are the CEO of United Airlines, you might wish that the laws of physics worked differently and you could create a plane that's shaped like a sphere. But you have to say, okay, the laws of physics don't allow for that. So I need to work with what I have and optimize on it. And let's get back to canceling all Jen Fulwiler's flights. Like, that's really our priority, is to make sure.
We heard Jen Fowler was on this show.
Yeah. Just make sure that she is stuck in whatever city she's in. I mean, that is our priority here at United Airlines. That's what you do with any of these problems. Instead of listening to social media influencers and beating yourself up about the fact that you're not getting it done, you say, yeah, I can't get it done because this is asking too much of me. I can't, at least not with this brain, not with this mom brand. I can't. So now I will optimize on the fact that I can't. So, for example, with me, with the housekeeper thing, when we were as broke as we could have, account overdrawn every month, we'd already gone through the savings. I really wanted those housekeepers because I was like, I just can't keep up with this house. Well, that is one of the things that motivated me to start my writing career, which led me to write my first book. And I wrote multiple books, but my first book is about to hit 2,000 reviews on Amazon, which is a very exciting milestone. A lot of people have a lot of good things to say about it. A lot of people have said that it really helped them. What motivated me to write it is I wanted housekeepers. I was like, I need money. I need money. It's this very it's called Something Other Than God. It's actually a very deep and personal book about how I found faith after a life of atheism. But really, guys, I just wanted housekeepers. Honestly, that is, I just needed that. And so I wrote that in the midst of being broke and having 6 babies in 8 years. Now it's helped a lot of people. And that all came from me not beating myself up and saying I'm a terrible person, that I'm not vacuuming this floor and sweeping this floor. It's like, yeah, I'm doing a lot of other things. This one's going to have to go. So I got to figure out a way to pay for these housekeepers. That's the key to consistency as a parent, is to accept the fact that you're not going to be consistent because you can't, because you weren't meant to do this without a village, and your brain cannot handle it, and your brain will explode. If you try to do the job of a village, you are literally trying to do the job of 70 people that you would have had if you lived 5,000 years ago. So don't push yourself into sanity. Be a good leader. Say, okay, I was meant to be raising these kids in a close-knit community where I have 7 sisters and 4 brothers and all of their kids of various ages. And my grandmothers live with us and they hold the newborn babies. And my cousins and my nieces help with the kind of toddler age kids, and the other women in the village, or they're helping with that's how you were meant to do it, and you don't have that. So great. There are actually some advantages to that. Again, it's not all perfect in village life. So there's some advantages to all the independence we have, but you just have to step up as a leader and optimize on it. If you are terrible at housekeeping, go make some money. I bet you're good at making money. Those of us who are terrible at housekeeping, and oddly enough, we tend to be good at making money. We like it. It's fun. Whereas if you hate having jobs and making money and you want to live the soft life, as people talk about on TikTok, I love soft life. So, and you want to have a soft life for your family, lean into that and just talk to your spouse about what you can do to continue to make their environment very conducive to them making money and like feeling supported. And with discipline, so my specialty is the PR angle of discipline. I will just deliver the worst news and the harshest penalties, but I'll do it in this funny way that people, it's like they can't get upset because they're laughing. So that's kind of my specialty. But there are a million other ways to do it. When the kids were little, and I had less of a sense of humor because I was dying. I mean, again, I had 4 kids under age 5, 5 kids under age 6, 6 kids under age 8. I mean, it was insanity. And one of the ways I worked around the fact that it was impossible to be consistent in my discipline as a parent is that I did shock and awe parenting. Shock and awe parenting is a great thing to keep in your back pocket for when you are just completely overwhelmed and you cannot find any more creative solutions to your lack of consistency in your discipline. Shock and awe parenting is when you only do what you threaten to do about 1 in 5 times. But when we hit that one time, it is memorable. It is very memorable. And I don't mean anything like harsh with your kids. I don't mean anything that will have them on 5 different meds and talking to 3 different therapists when they're 50. I just mean like you're right in the middle of cooking and you shut it all down. You turn off the oven and you're like, this is the one. This is the 1 out of 5. I got time today. So you know what? I'll sit in the naughty corner with you. I'll sit in the timeout corner with you. And if we have to sit here for 2 hours and stare at a wall, and if I have to sit here with you for 2 hours and stare at a wall, I got time. I've cleared off my calendar. We're not having a regular dinner tonight. This is just all this. Everything is off the table until this gets taken care of. It is memorable, and honestly, it works pretty well. I have to say, shock and awe parenting worked pretty well for me. And as the kids got older, I would even tell them. I said a couple of times. I was sitting on the couch. And this was such a hard time. I was so overweight. Like it was kind of like hard to get off the couch. And usually pregnant also, but sometimes just overweight. And I was on the couch drinking a soda. I mean, I was a stereotype. I would literally be eating a family-sized bag of chips to myself, drinking a soda. My hair just looked like trash. At one point, I actually forgot how to do makeup because it had been so long since I'd done it. And I said to one of the kids, they were probably 6 or 7 at the time, and they were fighting or, making a mess. And I had said, stop, and they didn't do it. They, little kids, that's normal. They get in kind of a defiant space. And so I just kicked back on the couch and I said, kid's name, kid. I said, I'm going to tell you one more time to stop doing that. You and I both know that I am probably not going to enforce any punishment, but I'm thinking about it. This might be the one. This might be the time that I do. And if it is, you will never forget it. This will be a memorable afternoon for you. and again, I want to be very clear. I'm not talking about physical threats or anything like that, but just like, maybe I'll put on a clown wig and scream a little bit. I mean, be open-minded. But I would actually say that to the kids, like, let's just get it out there. I don't have the energy to be consistent. So what you guys are doing is you're spinning the roulette wheel. You're spinning the roulette wheel of mom consistency. And you just better hope that it lands on a good number, because one day I'm going to have some time and I'm going to deal with it in a real big way. And I have to say, guys, honestly, that's, they eventually were kind of like, I don't want to spin the roulette wheel today, because she actually did enforce it. It was like 2 weeks ago, but we're still thinking about that, when like she actually did throw the TV remote across the backyard and nobody could find it and we couldn't watch screens. And then it was like the worst dinner ever, because like she didn't have time to cook dinner because we were staring at a wall for 2 hours, because that was part of the discipline. And I mean, it really did get to the point where even little kids were like, yeah, I don't want to spin the mom roulette wheel today. So that's the key, guys. Stop beating yourself up about not being consistent. There's no way you can be consistent. It's not. No one expects that of you. It's totally impossible. All you have to do is embrace the fact that you have not been given the resources to be consistent, and then optimize on your inconsistency. Boy, what a relatable podcast this is. I have catchphrases like optimize on inconsistency. There you go. A nice multi-syllabic phrase there. But really, know your mom brand, know your parent brand, or if you don't have kids, just know your personal brand. And again, this applies to those of you who don't have kids. You won't be able to be consistent in every area. So optimize on it. Optimize on your inconsistency and go love your life.